Hello and welcome to a fresh edition of Foodocracy for Her. My name is Kalyan Karmakar, and this is a series where I speak to women entrepreneurs in the food and beverage business. And there's a reason why I speak to them because women in general are not associated, wrongly perhaps, with business and that much more with the food and beverage business. But the fact is that there are women who have been doing fascinating work in this sector for some in more recent times, and we've heard their stories. And today we're going to speak someone who's been, in a way, like a pioneer in the field and a role model. And I must tell you that every time I end these episodes, I leave the room or the chat room because we are doing this for a Zoom interview, very, very inspired. So regardless of which gender, community, caste, country you belong to, I can assure you that you're going to finish this once you finish watching with a lot of inspiration and ideas on what to do next. My guest today is a Mumbai girl, is a Mumbai girl, and I would call her the Empress of chocolates. But the fact is that she's also a very warm and loving person. So I don't know if the word Empress and warm and loving always go together. But the fact of the matter is that she's a fabulous and pioneering chocolatier and also a very, very successful businesswoman. So without much ado, because this is one chat where you get to speak, listen to the guest rather than me, let me call on Zeba Kohli. Hi, Zeba. It's so good to see you. Nice and bright and shining as always. You've had a rough few days, but it's still great to see how full of life you are.
You are too sweet, Kalyan. Warm, loving, Empress. I mean, I was dying. Thank God I'm wearing pink, so it can be reflection. Or probably when I blush, I go white or I don't know what. But that was very, very kind. I would like to say that perhaps I was India's first, person who kind of popularized chocolate. It's kind of, everything that it's about. The fact that it's a versatile ingredient. I kind of made it a little more non-intimidating because what you said, yes, I am very warm and I'm very loving to the environment, to what I'm talking to right now, to the video, to all of us. I just don't know how not to be warm or loving. And I must say, Kalyan, that most of the time is perceived as a weakness, especially if it's from a person. I don't think it's whether it's man or woman, but if you are too, encompassed, or if you're too, I can't, I have an issue trying to curb my friendliness because I'm just friendly. I don't know what to do. So yeah, yes, that's me.
I completely agree with what you said because I have first known you through your chocolates when I've bought and had the Fantasie chocolates over the years. Then I've seen you in magazine articles and your the books you've written, the TV shows, and then for the last 2 or 3 years or maybe a bit more because of my work in food, I've got to meet you at different events where we've been together, and you've come across as someone who's so warm. And when you see someone from the pages of a magazine or a screen of a television in real life, you don't know how the person will be. And I also agree with you that sometimes people feel that should one be warm, should one be compassionate, and can one still run a successful business? So perhaps you can today shatter some myths because you can be compassionate and run a very fabulous business. So we're going to shatter some myths today. So yes. I was very interested by the fact that you said that your main shop is 75 years old. That's quite a bit of family legacy. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
So I grew up in the chocolate business, Kalyan. I did not start it. I'm a physics student. My nana, my mother's father, my maternal nana, his backbone was refrigeration, cleaning agents, banqueting. We were in the banquet space. He was a different kind of guy. And his also calling was science. My mom was a microbiologist. And so my dad, like his calling was architecture. Wow. So I think that it's just curiosity, which was in my blood. I'd never cared for everything, what I studied, but I had photographic memory. So whatever, when I chose to do well, then I would do well. And yes, in the ICSE, I wanted to not be this little, foolish masti wali. So I did, apply my mind, use my photographic memory, no matter 2 days before exams, but I did it well with 100% focus and I did okay. But I kind of grew up, like I enjoy practical, I enjoy experience. I'm not too much into academia unless it's the subject of my choice. So I am just crazy about languages. And I'm really, really crazy about science. That's me. And I love English. To work on the radio because I like to polish me, because it's about me. Forget about that you're born in India and all of that. So we only think in Hindi or Marathi. I'm a Maharashtrian. Yes. I live in Maharashtra. And I have maximum of Guju friends. Same thing was about chocolate, Kalyan. I used to go from school to work. I do not remember not going to office. As a baby, I'd take my little tiffin and I'd be at my mom's office while she was there, and she'd meet me.
Would you disturb her, or were you a good daughter, or were you mischievous? Would you disturb her?
She always knew, because my eyes were dancing, that I wanted to eat chocolate. So I'd slam into her room, and with my Nana as well, who was in the other cabin, and I'd bring my tiffin and she'd say, "Okay, baby, I'll meet you in the, where we all ate in this cafeteria dining area." And I'd be sitting there and my mom would, come in, and then, we'd chat, and so that was a great bonding. And also I realized that it's very important to develop skills. So at a very young age, when my granddad needed typing during a lunch hour for the people who were in the office, or my mom, I used to sit at the typewriter and I used to use my single finger. Wow. It was all as a kid. And even in school, we had this subject called SUPW, which had forced you to learn organization.
I remember that. Some useful periods wasted. So I think it was socially useful, productive work. Even we had it. Socially useful.
But it taught me typing and shorthand. Now, though, I've forgotten shorthand. But that time in office, like while my mom would be dictating, a letter, or my Nana, because in those days the computers were not there. Yes. So I just remember that I would be practicing my shorthand and then telling all my little girls who would be typing out letters, ki mere ko karne de na, mere ko karne. And then I would be sitting on the telephone operator saying, "Hello, this is, so-and-so." And then I'd go down to the chocolate shop, because my mother and my Nana, even though they loved it, they would say, "Okay, it's disruptive. So, baby ko niche chocolate shop mein leke jao, zyada chocolate mat khilana." So I would be down eating zyada chocolate, doing extra masti, but I was learning skills, Kalyan. So
this is when you were 8.
I mean, I don't know when. I never went to office, but I would definitely know it was single digits that I started learning skills. And
Zeba and the chocolate factory.
Yeah, totally. And the Zeba running amok in the chocolate factory is more like it. And then I realized once I reached double digits that I could double finger type. I could stir chocolate. I could learn roasting of nuts. And making rocks and dipping biscuit was just nothing. Yes. So I really used to do that. Like in school, I would be sleeping in PE because I was a nice round little tub till I was 12, I think so. because all I dreamt about is eating and sleeping and really having a good time and making everyone around me have a good time. But by, I think, the 8th grade, I became a little, aware. And by the 10th grade, I grew up in chocolate. I wanted to do more. I wanted to kind of know more. So I used to apply science. And
Yeah.
sadly, just when I think I turned 18, or I was going to turn 18, by the time I was 15 or 16, my mom had to take over the business because my nana was old. She was the youngest child.
So, sorry, just to interject for the non-Hindi speaking, Nana is maternal grandfather.
Yeah.
Your mother's father.
Yeah. And my father's father would be Dada.
Yes.
I never met him, but he's my Dada.
In Bengali, it would be Thakurda, father's father, and mother's father would be Dadu. So all the more affectionate ones are for mothers. So Dadu and Didima, and fathers more respectful. So Thakuma and Thakurda.
Oh my God, that is just adorable. I love languages, so I'll never forget now.
Yes.
And so just to cut to the chase, I know that my mom had a setback also. Very early in her youth. I was 18 or turning 18, and I remember I took over the business. I became a director.
Wow.
And by that time, I had basic understanding and basic skills. So then there was no looking back, Kalyan.
And were you a student still at that point? Were you were studying your physics and all of that at that time?
No. When my nana had a setback, I was around 16. I was yanked out of my science college and put into a commerce college. I slept through the whole college, and when I graduated, I would read accounts once, go to the tutorial, and get 5. So at 85 marks, I put my pen down, and trust me, having a photographic memory is not a compliment because nothing went in the brain. I only remembered what I wanted to remember. So the thing is, my nana, like, we were in refrigeration and cleaning agents, and my nana was in the hospitality industry. So I know that people, refrigeration, air conditioning, logistics, humidity, control of humidity.
Yes.
The need for your environment to have certain temperature controls, I gathered at a very young age.
And that sort of tied in with, and that sort of tied in with your physics studies and all of that as well.
So it didn't, like I don't know if it tied in with either physics or chemo or bio, but it just made logical sense to me. And it just went into my mind. So as I went on to complete my commerce, I graduated from, with a commerce and accounting degree for work. I won a scholarship for my MCom, but I didn't have the luxury of doing it until today. Actually, I keep applying to business schools in India, wherever I can, get the opportunity. But I haven't had the luxury of really taking time out for a long duration of time. But what I do is take time out now for short durations of time, for workshop, for work and play. Of course, life, otherwise makes you a dull boy. So I make some time for play. I make some time for working my body because, as I shared with you earlier, one learns the hard way. And I made lots of time for work. So that's about me.
I think that's a wonderful lesson you gave to, all budding entrepreneurs or even people who are halfway there, to learn to balance like work as well as to keep skilling oneself, upskill like they say, and also to take some time off. I think all three are equally important.
You can't, it's life is about mind, body and soul. And once you actually figure out what makes you smile, because life without smiling and laughter is I don't know what it is. But
Yes.
because even now I'm trying, I keep looking at myself to see, am I smiling too wide? Because I have a habit, like I'm smiling because I'm always
That's,
happy. I don't know what to do. But that's me.
like chocolates, you can never have enough of smiles. I think,
Never.
never.
Why, and why? At one time, I used to make a controlled effort, wearing my structured clothes because I was always told that you're being so effusive is a weakness, Zeba. You're taken for granted. So for a while, I tried, at least, when I had to do something. So I tried to maintain my composure, and I was very composed always because I was always happy. I didn't care. And but the thing is, I just realized after some years that I'm not going to change who I am. Week to week, I want to do what I want to do, and I made time. But I learned it a little later when
So,
I hit these.
so Ziva, I want to ask you one question that, taking off from what you said,
Mm-hmm.
that, there are two schools of thoughts. One is that people will say that there's a particular way of behaving or conducting yourself in a particular trade or business,
Mm-hmm.
and you need to sort of be in that mold. There is another school of thought which says that be yourself, and there's also unity in diversity, and each individual is different. So, what is your advice to people who feel that maybe they do not conform and maybe they need to change themselves, given that you didn't? I mean, you did and then you went back. So, what is your advice? Like, can you be yourself and still run a successful business?
So, Kalyan, this is a bit of maybe I didn't explain it right. The only thing I tried not to be is over friendly in a business environment. And sometimes, especially because in my earlier years, it was male dominated
Yes.
because, I was just, always happy and dressed up in the way I would be and laughing and introducing myself, and nobody got the name Zeba. So I'd say, hi, I'm Zebra without the R. And it came so naturally. And I was like, Zeba, control yourself. So, I mean, I tried to control only those parts of my speech and my behavior, but I never changed myself other than what was required by certain amounts of knowledge, training, discipline. So I would never go unprepared um, for anything. So it's like a TEDx talk. So I've given a couple already. And, I'm a last minute queen. And I just, for my second one, I remember I checked, I Googled, and the man said he's given the most TEDx talks in the world. And he said, please understand, the way you deliver is through practice, practice, and practice. So there were some things that I never compromised, Kalyan.
Hmm.
So when you say be yourself, yeah, you mean, today it is, you can't judge people by way of dress or their
Hmm.
personality. You got to, firstly, you can't judge people, period.
Yes. Yes.
Secondly, if you are trying to get in for a job or take on people for a job, you need to actually look at skills. Does it
Hmm.
fit or it doesn't fit?
Yes.
The personality of a person, of course, plays a very important role because if you're hiring someone for a particular reason, they need to have decorum for an
Yes.
etiquette for that
Yes.
particular reason.
Of
So,
course.
and if you are just, maybe it's a Saturday because we have fun on Saturday. People, like you wear really easy peasy clothes. This is started by my younger brother, and jeans and whatever, like it's a chill day. So that's a chill day. But when you go to meet a client and share, that should be your focus.
Yes.
Like I always applied common sense. I'll be honest about that. And yes, I try to not over laugh loud because I love my Cyrus Brocha and Kunal Vijayakar.
I know
They
that
came
show was
on my,
such a riot.
oh God,
Your
no,
episode with them on your show. was such a riot.
Kalyan, the producer, told me in my inner ear, because they give you a mic,
Yeah, yeah.
Zeba, stop it. Because of you. Forget me, they are too mad. But I was acting like that bloody, I don't know what.
Especially Cyrus. I think Kunal off camera is like, Kunal. But Cyrus at any moment is Cyrus.
And when I have to introduce myself to people who know Cyrus, I say I'm like a female Cyrus. So I'm really hard. And this is something no one knows about me. Only my family knows about me.
Yes, I wouldn't have got that.
No, and they all have lots of mirth and humor. But my husband, like sometimes in the most business meeting when I'm with him and I'm meeting all his business, so I say, hi, I'm Zebra without the R. And that, Rajesh looks at me, eyes are very amused. And he knows that Zeba didn't realize. And then Zeba realized.
Yes.
But then it just breaks the ice that life is to be lived, but work is worship.
I think the TEDx example you gave is a very good one, because I gave my first TEDx talk just before the lockdown at TEDx City Meadows at Nasik, and I am also a complete last minute person, like you said. My way of presenting is to get on stage and say, okay, what's the topic, and let's talk. But there's someone called Nidhi Agarwal who runs that particular TEDx in Meadows. And she believes in practice. So, we had to, we were assigned mentors, we went through it, and then we reached Nasik. And then the previous day we were all in a boardroom and we were asked to sort of give the talk. And I've never done that before. And I was the first person. I was like, so I completely talked my way through it. And next morning, again, they opened with me. So that was a very different thing. I think I'm a match performer. I'm not a net practice guy. But I think that all that effort which you put in and the talk and all that, like which meant that yeah, because when I was on stage, like the topics and the points just came. It just in fact there was one point where the slides sort of got stuck, but there was no concern or so. Zeba, thank you. And then the
chocolates,
and then the lockdown happened.
Yeah, but for me, coming back to chocolate very quickly, the only way I learned, like a lot of the times I meet people, I meet managers who manage chefs, I meet chefs themselves. They are confused whether who I am, because they will find me wearing pretty clothes in the front row, second row, third row of a fashion show.
Yes.
I mean, I'm a gift from God to me. So I love, I may be a little more, because I don't want to miss a minute in my life. I know too much about life, Kalyan. I know too much of my life. But I've been told that, Zeba's not a chef, because I genuinely have not taken 7 years off, 3 years off, 5 years off to go to a culinary school. And then I developed, a physical issue, which because I'm very tall and I never exercised the muscles of my back. So I couldn't even, for a period of my time, I couldn't even pick up heavy weights, and I'm only sharing this because it is about real topics today.
Absolutely.
You are as real as it gets, Kalyan.
Absolutely.
And the people who are watching your show are real human beings. Yes, I did definitely wake up and do my hair, but that's me, but I never, ever, like the one thing when you said, Zeba, did you try to change? So I only tried to change the right things. That were parameters that you're supposed to be. Like if you go to exams, you control yourself. You don't, so I tried to do what's right, logically right. I never really changed anything because I thought someone else was doing it and maybe that's right. I always thought it through,
That's such an important message, because for people in any field, who are looking at entering a field or who are in it, like I've been writing on food for about 13 years, and even now at various points I feel that should I shift to this sort of writing? Well, I focus more on everyday life. So sometimes I wonder, should I do some more scholastic stuff or more on history? or more on chef stories or events. And then I try to, so this isn't, I'll keep remembering what you said, that be true to yourself, but try to excel at that. I think that's,
Logicalize it.
yes, I think that's the message.
Yeah,
That do good. I mean,
that's
try to improve, try to skill yourself. I want to ask you one thing, Zeba. You took over the family business when you were 18,
yes.
right? And you're also a woman entrepreneur, and this show is about that. Over the years, when you look back, which was tougher, taking being a very young entrepreneur, not even a young, but a very young. They have these top 30 lists, 40. You'll be top, I don't know, 18 list, or being a woman entrepreneur, because you also said in the beginning it was male dominated. So which of the two were bigger barriers to break,
I
youth or
think
being
being
a
a
woman?
woman was definitely something I learned along the way. Um, Being youthful worked in my favor because the resilience of youth makes you oblivious
Yes.
all the time. And I am an extremely, like if you, and now you know me, I am not only optimistic, but I am, I'm walking. If I fall down, which I've done unlimited times in the middle of a speech, I am absolutely crazy. I will laugh and pick myself up. So I made mad blunders. But being a woman, I think it's just added the most brilliant dimension into being a human being. And yes, today's young gen, the millennials, the Gen Zs, um, the truth really is, Kalyan, that there is no difference in urban
Yes.
cities and extremely advanced countries about the sex of your offspring or the person you hire.
Hmm.
But as a young child who laughed a lot, who worked equally hard, because that's the other lesson. I mean, focus, yes, learn, skill, but work hard. Then you can't just say, oh, it's on my board,
Yes.
vision board, or, oh, do it. It's about you. No one's going to do it for you. If you do it, then the magic happens. The more you do, the luckier you get. So yes, as a youthful person, I was slighted on many occasions, or I would say probably in a lot of occasions, because A, I was young, B, I was a female. So yes, that happened a lot. So, and especially if you don't, if you're not a very serious, nerdy type, like I am, but no one really knows that, because that's what I like. I'm very serious, I'm very disciplined when I need to be, and I live, breathe, and enjoy whatever's on my plate. So today today we are on the plate. This is it. This is my 100% life.
Amazing.
And I learned a lot. Made me a better person.
That's truly amazing. I mean, what you also said right now, two things. One is that it's great to have a vision and focus, like you said, but also then work on it. And the
No
second
question.
and the second is what's on your plate, and that's a lovely food metaphor as well. So in fact, sometimes people laugh at people who photograph food for Instagram, but for me it's like a homage, like even if it's like what I'm eating at home. But for me, like taking a picture for Instagram is a way of saying grace, perhaps, and then like mindfulness and focusing on your
How
meal.
beautiful. It is the most important thing.
Absolutely,
We
absolutely.
have
And
forgotten simplicity, Kalyan.
yes, yes,
And we have gone into so much else, given everything importance. I'm not saying skincare is not serious. I'm not saying I've been everything. I've modeled for brands, I've walked the ramp, I still, today at my age, when I'm asked, and I'm asked a lot, I will happily do it. So I used to be a jack of all trades. Now I choose the trade and try to master it to the best of my ability. That is a very important thing. And what you really said is which path was harder.
Yes.
So being a female is another level of blessing. It's not that I don't love the male around me, my brothers, my dad, my father-in-law, Nana, Dada, my husband, oh my God. But being a woman has a different dimension. When you discuss a business strategy and expansion, we talk about the next vertical.
Yes.
So a woman is doing all of it, but she has been blessed with one more vertical, which cannot be substituted by artificial intelligence or the man. That's the way it is. That's the way it is.
I love how you put it, that it's actually a blessing to be a woman. So instead of being defensive about it, to sort of use it as a vertical, like you said, a business vertical, like one more axis of growth. That's such a fabulous way of looking at it. Now, Zeba, I want to ask you that, when you took over the family business at that time, and in India, chocolate was, of course, very coveted and very rare treat for most of India. It was the ultimate treat, but it was also a bit of a commodity in a sense that one did not know much. I mean, there was dairy milk, milk chocolate, fruit and nut, and that's about it. And I think that with Fantasie chocolates, you were the one who first sort of showed how there could be different dimensions of chocolate, and that's not very long back, just maybe like a decade back or something like that, which is when I first started interacting with your brand, or maybe 15 years back at the store at Worley and then at Hill Road. So tell me a bit about that journey. That how did you take chocolate into the next level? What motivated you to do that, and how did you do that?
Just, I think my inherent hunger, my inherent fire in the belly, my curiosity, constantly upgrading my skill, upgrading myself, also being a people's person, understanding tastes, understanding trends. It's very important to be a voracious reader. It's important to be alive. That's the first thing. And being alive means being well informed and then using that information to process it your way and working at skilling yourself. So this to me is even today a constant process. Like I'm devouring whatever's available on the internet. I may not have time to read it all completely, or all of it is not going to interest me, but it's important. And I think that is very important for the young entrepreneur today, is you never know what you're going to really want. It's like the song by Baz Luhrmann for Moulin Rouge. And that song, oh no, Sunscreen was not for Moulin Rouge, pardon me. It's a song called Sunscreen. It's more like it's a verse set to music. It's prose set to music. And it's about, don't be nervous if you're 40 and you don't know where you're going. Because most people have no idea. For me, I was put in my family business. The question I asked myself, is it your calling? And it isn't. So I made what my subject is, science, apply. So I kept going back. My mind is logical. I'm a hard worker. And this is on my plate in this life. I want to give it my best shot. Sometimes you choose, sometimes you don't get to choose. Sometimes you study for it, but it's not your thing. It doesn't make you better or worse. It makes you human. And no one can judge you. No one, including you. Do not judge yourself, because it's your life. No one's paying your bills. And you cannot judge either. Like, it cuts both ways. You're not paying anyone's bills. Enjoy, you know, and it's easier said, but I promise you, Kalyan, my life has not been easy. I make it easy. I choose to enjoy every step of the way.
I love what he said. In fact, if I was looking down, it's because of my kitten who's jumping all over, and I think he lives by the same motto. But you know what? Everything we just said, which is don't judge people, don't judge yourself, is such an important lesson. And I wish I had met you when I was in my late 30s, and I'll tell you why. Because I was in market research then, you know, and I was already writing my blog. But I sort of by then had figured out that this is not my calling, market research. But I did not know what to do next. Like and the verse which you just quoted, that when it's even if you're in your 40s, you might not know. So there were certain people whom I admired at that time. One is the late Anthony Bourdain. Then you know, there's a gentleman called Simon Majumdar, who's a food writer.
Of course, I know.
Food writer. So in their lives, and I know Simon, Anthony Bourdain, of course, I knew as a fan, but I knew that both of them had made career shifts in their lives when they were in their 40s. You know, Bourdain had moved from being a cook to a author. Majumdar had left being a. So I would keep telling myself that there is hope, you know, and I think that is when I turned 40. So when 2016. So 2013, 14 is when I made the shift towards food writing, and I think that you know, it's been a. So I told myself that if these guys did it at their 40s, I think it's going to happen for me as well, and it did. So you know, but talking
It's
of
all about you. Life is about you. I never know what if this is the right thing. I do not know would I have ever chosen to be here. I have decided to make my life worth living, Kalyan. And I am permanently judged by being told to my face that you are not a chef, you don't qualify. And I'm like, okay. Because one day I was eating lunch or dinner on the table, and my younger child, okay, now they are adults, yes, and my older child, we air at over meals. So it's very precious. And we try to eat together whenever possible. So I learned from them so much. And it was my kids when I said, you know, gosh, like I have a feeling that maybe the person didn't like me or approve of what I have done. So I am not a part of this particular project. And my girls have told me, oh, don't give yourself that kind of importance. Why would you even imagine that? Let it go. And that is actually what I went into joy, you know. Probably I must have guffawed because that is exactly how I've lived my life. Oh well, next one. And I've never waited, you know, Kalyan. The other thing is you can't wait for anything to happen. You need to take a bull by its horns and do the thing yourself.
yes,
And it's not easy. It's not easy. None of this is easy. Business is not easy. Business in lockdown, not easy.
true.
Chocolate, not easy. It's like a baby. It's like a pet. You need to
In
give
fact, you
it.
said making chocolates is like a pet. So I'm going to get my pet. This one.
Please.
Come here, little Nimki. Wait. There you are. So
Is this 5-month-old?
This is it's his birthday today.
Oh,
5-month-old birthday.
Happy
Approximately 1 or 2 days here and there.
you.
So why is chocolate making like a pet? Yeah, you were telling me yesterday. Why is chocolate making like a pet? Are you a chocolate?
The product. Yes, I really think. I think that we are discussing and holding chocolate because it is this love that you need to love your product. People say, oh, मैं temper नहीं कर पा रही हूँ, मेरे से tempering नहीं हो रहा. ये real chocolate क्या चीज़ है? मैं compound chocolate से chocolate बनाऊँ क्या? सब कुछ ठीक है कल्याण. But when it is a real chocolate or any kind of chocolate, you need to know the taste. You need to know what the chocolate needs, the type of temperature, climate, the way it should be melted, the kind of nuts, if it's a white, if it's a milk, if it's a ruby, if it's a blonde, whatever it is, what pairs with it, does it work, will it last, how do you transport it? It's about, yes, chocolate is lovely, everyone loves it, you zap it and then you pour it over ice cream, you got a gorgeous melted chocolate. Easy to make a fudge sauce with a bit of butter and whatever, you have a lying around in the house, icing sugar, you whisk cream, ganache, very easy. Very difficult to be in the business of chocolate.
Yes.
There are nuances. It's like your pet. It's like Nimki. It's about knowing what they need. It's about taking care how you leave them in the house. Chocolate need care while from the minute it enters your boudoir, your boutique, your working area, your factory. You need to know how to protect it, how to use it, what condition that it has to reach your client. It needs a lot of understanding.
So you've got a young chocolatier. Nimki's got such a lovely grounding now, thanks to listening to you on chocolates. But tell me, Zeba, sometimes the belief is that chocolate is a very sophisticated product, and you perhaps need to belong to a certain class of society or had a certain experience yourself before getting into it. But from what I understand, all your chefs, most of them do not really come from very well-to-do backgrounds, right? Would you like to tell us a bit about that, about your
I'd
team?
love to. So my nana, my mama, my mother's brother, he used to love going through Zurich, and he was studying outside India in America, and he passed away. And every time he came back, all he told my family, my maternal family, was, I love Sprungli chocolate. One day I will start something which is artisanal. And in his memory, my nana, my mother's dad and mom started this product called Fantasie because it was his fantasy.
Yes.
And my nana was a philanthropist. He ran an educational trust. He did a lot for students. He believed in children, students. I took it to another level because I also have added a dimension of the partially sighted and non. I make a braille chocolate bar. And I've I believe, I understood cancer and I learned a lot of, things that work and make the treatment for cancer a great journey. So I became a counselor, voluntary counselor at Mumbai's a couple of really good hospitals. And for taking my nana's need, he took on the underprivileged and destitute women of society. I've taken it to another dimension because in my time, there are men and women who come from really good places, in my nana's time, they were, maybe abused or husband was an alcoholic, taboo, things that were taboo. They were, widows or had victims of a divorce perhaps. So he would take them in and he would teach them whatever, he had very good people, very good chefs. And incidentally, the reason I wrote the book for Cadbury for the 70th year celebration is because Mr. Cadbury and my Nana were good friends. And
wow.
They used to give my Nana covering chocolate, couverture. And my Nana would use that chocolate to convert it into artisanal chocolate. Yeah. So that was the story about Fantasie. And then, of course,
go ahead, please go ahead.
And then, of course, there are now in my time, I have so many people, someone who wanted to get into railways but didn't make it, someone who wanted to get into a government job but didn't make the cut, someone who whole family is a police officer, but he didn't make the cut because at a very young age he had a very high number, I think, for what he wanted to get into. So so yeah, that's what Fantasie is about. And we have professional chefs who come in. I hire them for periods of time to come and train my chefs. And my chefs, they may not have gone to culinary institutes, but I would like to say that they probably have better, I would say, you know, credibility. Their work is deliberate and not by default. You know, we work with, we create our design and we work. We don't wait for things to happen. And they do it, I think, maybe, you know, they're way better than me too. So there's huge joy and huge learning.
I think it's, I mean, what you said, and I know you mean it, when you say that, you know, you have no compunctions in saying that they're better than you. And I'm
Oh, yeah.
sure that's your humility saying it, but I'm saying that the way like your family business has sort of taken different elements of society across, and in a way of running the business. It's not something which you're doing just to maybe take a stand or something like that, but that's the way you run the business. And I think that you know what we're talking of right in the beginning about compassion. I think that this is a very important way of, you know. So I want to ask you a question, since this is about entrepreneurship. You know, a lot of people feel that, you know, if you're a chef or a baker, or even a writer or anything like that, you understand the creative part very well, but you may not be a successful businessman or business person. So, what in all these years of running a business, right, since such a tender age, have you learned? What is it that makes a successful business a success? What makes a business work?
So I wish I knew the formula because I'd apply it to myself. But the fact is that something that is done, keeping trends, taste, and the market demand supply situation very much in mind, doing a correct profit analysis. And when you open a chapter, that chapter needs to have a closure. So leaving loose ends, like I make good chocolate, I will pack it well. Oh, so and so is charging this price, so I will charge this price. And not marketing it or spreading the word or understanding the implications that home entrepreneurs will understand soon. Because if you manufacture, even in your house, it is important to have certain levels of hygiene along with the knowledge and the urge to do something. You need to know and register. You need to have, you know, everything is fun word of mouth. When it's just starting up, you know, like baby artisans, but it shouldn't end there. If it's a hobby, that's fine. But if you're talking business, which is what you said, so there needs to be a phase-wise strategy. It need not be that I want a dozen stores. You know, if that's what you want, that's fine. But everyone doesn't have the same need. But when you use the term business, one needs to read up on business. You know, you just can't because mommy and daddy said I should do it or I need money. You do it, but that works while it stays a hobby. Probably you sell enough or you manage to do well in seasons like Diwali, because there whatever is put out at whatever vertical of products, essential, non, every single thing has a need and has a demand. But if you want to stay in the business, levels of control, statements by the government for homepreneurs, you know, knowing what, if you sell a particular level, you need to know your sales tax, you need to file for GST. These things don't just go away. You know, they need to be thought through, after you understand that you want to take your hobby further into a business, and knowledge
That's
helps.
yes. No, that's so beautifully summed up. I mean, the differentiation between hobby and business, and the fact that business requires a certain amount of scale. And I keep saying this also, that phase-wise, of course, you've done it, but and I've probably studied it a bit more, or as a researcher and all that. But it's so important to look at life. I think phase-wise. I think that's so. I can keep talking to you because there's so much to learn. But I've got about 5 minutes. So I want to ask one very specific question to you. You have encountered various hardships in life, in running. You've had two very bad spells of health, which one knows of, with your back issues and so on. And now there's a current crisis which people across the world are facing, which is the COVID pandemic. And it's affected people and businesses across the world. So your learnings in terms of how you came out of both these personal obstacles as well as these environmental obstacles. What is it that one needs to keep in mind when one is completely down and out, and you feel that abhi kuch nahi hoga, now it's the end of this story? What can pick you up, and how do you come back? How do you become Rocky? For the
Exactly how Rocky became Rocky.
how.
Just sheer perseverance, hard work, prayer, positivity, back to hard work, and everything teamed with knowledge. You need to know. You need to keep yourself informed. You need to know what others are doing. You need to know what competition, which I believe you only excel if there is competition. I love competition. I generate my own competition. I have taught chocolate making since I was 23 years old. I believe in it. My one thing that I would say, I would rather say one word, okay? And that word is across board. It's fitness of your mind, fitness of your body, fitness of
Sorry, we've lost you. Uh,
hello. Now?
Yeah, I missed you at the end. So
No, again, you can edit. Basically, for me, it's fitness, one word. Fitness of the mind, which is only about knowledge. Fitness of the body, which you cannot negotiate no matter what. I did. Fitness of your heart and soul is nothing but taking a little bit of time out for things you like to do, which is puja, prayer, and spend time with your loved ones, your older family members. Cook, do it with your heart. That fitness.
wow, what a wonderful note to end with, Zeba. Fitness, like you said, one word, and so many dimensions of it: mind, body, soul, and one had never thought of it this way. And I think that a very important thing, which is to have in a way, a one word or one line
That's it.
or summary. So in my head, this word is going to be drummed in at the end of this chat: fitness. Thank you so much. And also best wishes to your daughter, who I believe is launching something which is to encourage women entrepreneurs.
It's my one daughter is launching something special to her heart, and my other daughter is also working on very important things. So I accept your good luck and your blessings, and I give it right back at everyone who's watching and at you.
Thank you so much. It was an absolute pleasure. And thank you so much for sharing from your heart and also giving so much, very, very impactful guidance. And this is why I said warm and loving, as well as a successful businesswoman.
Thank you.